Welcome to another episode of Chad and Steve Have a Podcast. In this episode, we welcome Antonio Centeno from Real Men, Real Style to talk about style, fragrances, running multiple businesses, finding that work-life balance, and helping Steve get through his gray stage.
Antonio Centeno is a former officer in the U.S. Marines, a genuine entrepreneur, and really a huge source of inspiration for me on growing my business, as well as playing a big part in just transforming my own personal style. My personal style is pretty much shades of gray. He's the creator and host of Real Men, Real Style on YouTube with over 2.8 million subscribers and over 285 million views. With a 250,000 followers on Instagram, he's one of the top influencers in the men's style space. He's the co-owner of Vitaman, a leading global company in natural men's grooming products. And he was the co-founder of the former Menfluential, which was a really cool conference about style and networking that I was thrilled to attend just a few years ago. And he probably has a bunch of other stuff going on. I don't know. He's a busy guy. I know for a fact that he's been dabbling a little bit in woodworking, which is pretty cool. But I think Antonio's greatest strength is his ability he empowers men with self-confidence. And I think that the whole idea is that style is about a lot more than just fashion and grooming. So please welcome the most stylish and debonair guy that I know, Antonio Centeno.
Well, Steve, thank you for that intro. That was quite the, Chad, is there anything you want to add onto that? Maybe like, I don't know, you could talk about, my shooting skills. You could talk about my survivalist skills, all the other stuff that, it's like.
We only have an hour during the podcast.
We only have an hour to talk about.
So we slimmed it down substantially.
Hey, Antonio, how do you like it when, I'm sure people call you dapper a lot. Do you get that?
Not as much as you would think. I'm more practical style. And that's how I got started with all this is I saw that there was a hole out there for just guys that wanted to get dressed, but they weren't, these dapper dogs. They weren't out there trying to look super. It was a tool for them. They needed to look good for an interview. They had a date coming up. They had something that they needed to dress up for. And this guy, he's a smart guy. He's very successful. Let's say he's a master electrician. He owns multiple businesses. He just simply didn't know how to wear a suit. And it's his little girl's wedding here in a week. And he's like, oh my gosh, I got to look good. I'm walking her down the aisle and I don't want to embarrass her. And he finds my information. And that's where I think we really shine is we help, whether it be him to be able to look good that weekend in short notice in a suit, or for a young professional that just graduated from the University of Wisconsin, grew up on a dairy farm, but they've got this high-end lawyer job waiting for them in New York City, and they don't want to look like a country bumpkin. So these people find our information, and I try to really present it in a very practical, step-by-step, right-brained kind of way. I leverage the science of style. We talk about the history. But I always remember this isn't about fashion shows and runways. This is about a guy being able to dress in a manner so that he can get the job done and become the man he knows himself to be.
So let's rewind even further. Let's go back to, I know you have a history in the Marines and you also have a history in business school. And that's kind of in and around the time that all of this got started. So why don't you go back and talk a little bit about your origin story?
Sure. Well, back in, I grew up in small town, West Texas, trailer park kid. I didn't know anything about style. It's not like I had a pedigree or anything. I ended up going to college in Iowa. And at some point I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. My father had been in the Army. My brother had been in the Marines. They were all enlisted. I decided to go the officer route. And I started off in the Marine Corps, started off flying T-34s and T-2s. That did not work. I blew out my sinuses. So I went from being a pilot in training to actually going to the infantry. Spent 3 years with 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines. We did a Westpac deployment. Then we went off during the Iraq War. And after that was done, my time was up. I was in for 5 years. I decided, as a captain, they had a great run, but I wanted to live abroad. My fiance at the time was Ukrainian. She is now my wife. We've been together for, well over 15 years, 4 kids together. And so it's worked out pretty well. But I lived over there, ran a nonprofit. But I realized as I was running this nonprofit into the ground, I didn't understand anything about business or money. So I went back to Texas, got my MBA. Great deal as a combat vet. I got to go for free to using the Hazelwood Act at state school, and learned a lot about business, but also realized how much I didn't know, how much of this stuff was theory. And I also realized I kind of wanted to work for myself. And that's what ended up leading me into starting my first company after I was unceremoniously fired from the company I got hired to out of business school. I took that as an opportunity. I'm like, hey, bringing my young family over from another country. I don't have much money in the bank. But yeah, let's start a business, because you realize that there's never going to be a better time than the present. Was that Chinese saying the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So I kind of took that, and I started the business and made a lot of mistakes. In fact, I failed. Went into bankruptcy with that first business. But there was a silver lining to it. First up, I got all my, most of my debts erased. They still don't get rid of student loans in bankruptcy, unfortunately. But it was something I was able to walk away realizing that I'm pretty good at creating content. So I needed to, have something that I could start low risk, low cost, and I could put a lot of time into. And that's exactly what I did. I started writing articles with a guy named Brett over at the Art of Manliness, and he was having great success. And he shared with me some of the insights he was having with revenue from advertisers. And so I realized that, hey, I can create this content and I can bring other people in and have them advertise with me and sell, even information products, which we do as well. So initially it was the information products that sustained the business, but very quickly, because our numbers started going up and because there wasn't really anyone talking about professional style in the way we were, we grew a following on YouTube. I think it blew me away the first time I had a company send me some shoes. It took me 6 months to do the video because I was running a company. I was busy. I was doing all sorts of other stuff. But then as soon as we did the promotion, the next day, he's like, I'm overnighting you another pair. I'm like, I don't want more free shoes. I'm like, so, how about you pay me $3,000? And I thought, I didn't expect him to pay me, but he paid that PayPal invoice within 2 hours. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, like, you'll pay me $3,000 to talk about a pair of shoes in a video? And I have to give Aaron Marino over at Alpha M, who many people view as my competitor, but he's actually one of my best friends. And we've now done multiple businesses together. He was very clear. Hey, you get paid for this, and make sure to ask for the money. And that way you can be able to do this with, a good conscience, be able to pay your bills and create a business that's sustainable. And so we started doing that. And to this day, me and him actually created another business called Menfluential Media, which came out of the Menfluential conference. But Menfluential Media, the whole idea is we've got about 30 influencers that we work with, mostly in the men's lifestyle space, from car guys to style guys to people that, talk about fragrances. And we feed them deals. We get a percentage of that. And it works out because as an influencer, you guys probably know one of the hassles is dealing directly with brands that can't make up their mind, want multiple edits, and are trying to go or want to talk your ear off and take a year before they close up on a deal. So the fact that I've got 3 sales guys, that's all they do. We've got 200 brands we work with, and then they place deals with all of these different influencers. And it's a streamlined process. I absolutely love that business because, but I wouldn't have had that business and I wouldn't have found that opportunity if it wasn't for Real Men, Real Style, and if it wasn't for A Tailored Suit, which was the business that went into bankruptcy. So it's funny how it all builds off each other. And you start, once you get the confidence and once you start finding things that work, and then it leads to other opportunities. I mean, you mentioned Steve Vadaman. That was an opportunity that, again, because I'm speaking over in London at the Youpreneur Summit, I meet this great guy, Dale Beaumont, huge business coach, amazing guy over in Australia. He's like, hey, I've got a friend. She's running this amazing grooming company. And people tell me this stuff all the time in my industry. I'm like, sure, I'll check out her products. Amazing products. I was blown away. And it takes a lot for me to be blown away by a product. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk to her. And it turns out she had no real online presence. She had been in spas. Her business was going down. And I'm like, you know what? How about we partner? 50-50. Actually, we 45-45. We brought in Dale for 10. And so we've got this now partnership with people I respect in an industry that complements. I mean, I'm already talking about these products. I might as well own a company that is and promote my own products. And so that was a huge win this last year. We just had our best Black Friday ever. And, it's a small business, but you see, the future of it Again, getting back to Aaron Marino, with his Pete and Page, where I've seen him build it up into a multi-million-dollar hair product business. And 5 years ago, he was sending out every package himself once a
Right.
week. Now that thing is, doing more money in a single month than it was doing just in a single year, just 2 years ago. And so you see the trajectory on if you own your own products. I know, Chad, you guys understand that with your own products and stuff you guys have been doing. And Steve, you understand the power of courses and kind of owning that. And
it's one of the
it's been
things
a fun ride.
It's one of the things that, and I alluded to this in the intro. It was that really what you do is so inspiring because of the fact that you're always upping your game on these different ventures that you get yourself involved in. And it's funny.
Well, that's what I allow people to see. It's like, my failures, I try to move on as quickly as possible.
Well, and
if you were to move the camera slightly to the left, can we see all the failures on the shelves? Just over to
no, this is all the free products that keep, like, every woman out there in your audience is going to immediately be jealous. I got over 100 pairs of shoes that have been sent to me in the last 2 years. I've got, all this clothing just like shows up at my door. My wife hates, I've got 300 fragrances. It's just like all these things they keep showing up.
When you mentioned Aaron, and it's funny because I remember going to Menfluential, the conference, it was really cool too. We'll have to get into that a little bit more, but you two are a great team because, at least, and I don't know how much of it is actually true, but you guys seem like a total contrast to each other, at least in the videos. You present yourselves in completely different manners. He is like directly in your face kind of guy, and you're kind of the laid back style kind of guy. But I think it really works out well for both of you to like help with each other's business. And I think that's one of the things that also impresses me is, and I think if I had to sum up one thing about you the most, it's your ability to networking. You're the guy. You're like, how everybody has a guy that, like, they say, I know a guy who can do something. that's
oh,
like,
Antonio, do you? Yes.
Antonio will be like, you go there and you say, I'm interested in doing a live stream or something like that. And he'll be like, you know what? I know a guy. He's over here and he can help you out. And this guy, and he brings people together that way. And I love that. And I wish I was able to kind of network better like that. Although I was getting more and more comfortable at Menfluential. I was a little intimidated at first, but it didn't take long for me to just kind of.
Yeah, they're good people. And I think, what made that conference successful, we decided to wrap it up, not because, we dodged a bullet. We wrapped that up a month before COVID hit, or just a few weeks actually. But, I ran that like a party. That was my thing. It was like, Aaron, we're not going to make money from this, but I really like hanging out with people. And I loved going to conferences. The problem is I didn't like being away from my family. And I would go to these events and I'd see maybe 5-10 people that I really wanted to spend time with. But, it was just tough. I'm like, what if I brought them all together at a conference, made a lot of these really cool people I know as the speakers, and we just invite, anyone that follows our channel to attend. We invite the business owners, because for them, it's really, they want to be able to talk to these influencers. And I really did appreciate that we brought together people. I knew that magic would happen if you bring together people whose businesses complement each other, and people that maybe that have never met the people that consume their products. And you get all these people in a room together and they have a great time. And especially when you have an open bar, I always go to these conferences and they're so stale. They're like made up by these corporate America. We can't do this. We can't do that. I'm like, no, like we got to throw this like a party. And, there were years we had drummers show up and like crazy entertainment. During the day, yes, it's more about information and marketing and business. But I think a lot of guys, this is what we love as business owners. We get turned on by, email marketing and being able to sift
Right.
through this stuff. Like people geek out on this stuff. And so we wanted to bring in the right people. But at the same time, it was something about, I wanted to keep it pure of, hey, I want friendships to build out of this. So we would really encourage people to have like parties before, parties after. I would let, I'm not trying to upsell you into anything. We never really made money with this. It was always a break even perspective. And that allowed me to, from the moral high ground, to be able to come in and just say, dude, like, I'm not trying to, get anything from you here. I really wanted to have friendships. And I think business, anytime you're in a leadership position, you're running a company, you're trying to build something, people don't understand that haven't done this, how lonely it is. And it's just something that you feel it's you against the world, and you're out there trying to grow this. You hire some people, but sometimes you feel that they're just showing up for the money and that they don't dream about the business like you do. And no one, and to be around a bunch of people that get it, they're in an entirely different industry. Or even when you find out, yeah, it's kind of a competitor, but not really, because I actually like this guy a lot. And that's what I found, is that these real friendships would form with people that are kindred souls. And you just get them in a room, get a few drinks in them, feed them, our bars were always mostly male audience. So I'm like, you know what, we're not going to have like little snacks there. No, we're going to go for like protein bars. And one time I literally wanted to have steaks out there, but Aaron vetoed that idea. So we would just put out, hard boiled eggs. I'm like, this is what guys want. Like when I go to a conference, like I wake up late, I show up there, I want a meal. Like, I don't want just that, like that kid stuff. I don't want, like, let's have fun, So we set it up like that, and it worked out. The food trucks, that was like a great thing. We would just, like, for lunch, we would just have all these food trucks out there, and it's paid for,
Yeah, it was a blast.
With the ticket. Yeah.
It was a blast, because basically it was like instead of like most conferences where everybody sends off at specific time to different rooms and it was like basically in one huge space where people could kind of mill about and do things. And then when you had those food trucks show up, everybody's like, wait, this is free? We're not paying for this? And yeah, give me those sandwiches. And then so everybody could sit around outside.
People be running around with 2 to 3 different ones. It's like,
right, because what you find is that you're standing around, and I didn't really know anybody there, but you're standing there holding, your food, and there's nothing to do but talk to people.
Exactly.
So it forces you into these maybe something that you might have been uncomfortable with. It opens it up, because kind of everybody is in that same, vibe. And it was really cool. It
seems like a random interaction, but everyone there is pre-selected because they've spent the money. Even if we had people flying from India, and even though he may be a super fan, but he still is somebody that follows these channels, and he pays attention to YouTube, and he can give you insights on your channel. Or you talk to this other guy that's running a multi-million-dollar shoe company, and he just happens to be in line with you. And you see, oh, wait a minute, you own that company? I've got your shoes on. And all of a sudden he's getting pictures, not some, selfish selfie, but some inspirational. My gosh, like to see somebody wearing his shoes, to see 3 guys who randomly are wearing his shoes, like all of a sudden would make, the guys over at Ace Marks or Thursday Boots, they're like, wow, like we get to see the people using our stuff. And we kept it like that. And I'm happy, it was a party, and every party has an end. And that's the one thing we did. Me and Aaron just was we were ramping up for this last one. We were like, you know what? Like, it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We've had a great party, but we need to get to bed. We've got other things we want to do. So we'll do meetups in the future. But so many great things came out of that conference, and I'm happy we did it, and very happy that it ended before the craziness of this year.
So it's exhausting enough for me to go and walk around a conference. How exhausting is it, comparatively speaking, to all of the other things that you do to run a conference? Is it as much of a headache as it seems to be?
It's, I think I got great partners that one thing me and Aaron did every week, and Aaron, even though he may seem like this loud Italian that's just running around screaming, he is a very good planner. And he was like adamant, and we met every single week the first year, and we had a certain amount that was done every week. What happened though, after we kind of like, after the first couple of years, it started running on cruise control, because we, like anything, we kind of knew how things were playing, and we were able to spend less time on it. But during the event, it is something that I did find it's not that enjoyable when you own the conference, because even if we never did reach a point where we would have somebody who was running it. And maybe that's also why it was so magical, because me and Aaron Marino, him being a good Italian host, me being, someone that just wants to pay attention to every detail. Like we would be making sure from, hey, the trash is empty, to what next speaker's on. And everyone, it's all our friends there. Every year I would have some people in my family there. In fact, the last year I probably had 10 of my family members present, from my kids to my wife to my sister, and her sons all attended. And I always did want it to be at that level. Hey, I've got family here, and they, this is something that they should walk away from feeling good. So we did keep it, relatively PG. There are a few speakers occasionally that would drop some F-bombs, but overall it was family friendly. It was fun. And again, I always wanted it to feel good. Cause I mean, one of the bigger things for me with business, and it takes a while sometimes to realize this, because my first business sucked so much it sucked so much out of the life out of me, and caused disagreements with me and my wife. She was my only employee with the first company. You really start to realize, like, man, I don't want to run a business like that anymore. I want to run a business that I love, one that I really enjoy. And I'm not saying that at all times do I enjoy my businesses, but if you can't take time to reflect and say, you know what, am I actually enjoying this? And why the hell am I doing it if I'm not enjoying it? Because we're supposed to have this freedom as business owners and entrepreneurs to actually be doing what we want. And sometimes and this happens throughout your business's life. Like it kind of sometimes can become a prison. It can become something that traps you in there. And I do want to make sure that I am doing things that I love and enjoy. And
how big of how important is your YouTube presence to all of your businesses? Because it seems like that's kind of really the hub that everything can kind of come back to. And your YouTube channel is prolific. You post what, 4 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week on there?
We do. I mean, we've had some ups and downs with that. Our average views are not what they used to be. So that's definitely,
they were all hurts. Like that though. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are hurting, but it is something that I find that YouTube has a very deep impact. You guys have probably seen this, when Melissa like runs into a fan, or Steve, somebody meets you, they feel like they know you. Right. And it's especially if you're authentic on you. I think there's some people out there that it's a total act. It's not who they are. But if you're authentic on YouTube, people can pick that up. And when they meet you, they may not be the commenters, but they're going to be the first person to want to spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes talking to you, telling you the stories of how, woodworking has changed my life. It's like just made everything like it's my Zen area where I get into. Or, when it comes to cleaning, hey, like we were having so much chaos, and those tips and tricks, I mean, this really transformed. It seems like why should it do that? I don't know, but it did it for me. And I do find that, but I do want to keep my main hub still, because I don't control YouTube and I don't own my channel, and I could get 3 strikes and Susan could decide, you know what, Antonio's doing some nefarious stuff over there at RMRS. I'm going to get rid of him. I mean, she could, not that she has anything, Susan, if you're watching, nothing against you.
So it's your website that's kind of your main.
It's my website where I try to keep things focused.
It's huge.
It's something, we're trying to streamline it. We're going to be rebranding it. I want to get more back to the professional man, but it is something that historically our website has been our hub of where everything's at. That being said, the YouTube channel for a while was getting a lot more views and engagement, and it's deeper engagement as well on YouTube. That being said, we've got also an email list that we engage people with, and we have tons of products out there. But it's interesting when people find you again after always makes me smile, like, hey, I followed you 5 years ago, and one of your videos, I randomly found you here on the web, and it's cool to see you're still making them, and I'm still using your stuff. So that's cool when you have that impact on people. But that's kind of led me to physical products, because I think the physical product is interesting. Like if somebody builds something using your plan, Steve, they're going to see that dresser, they're going to see that table every single day, and they'll think of you like 5, 10, and their grandkids will have an effect. Like that's one thing I love about furniture and woodworking is how long it lasts. And so that's why I did want to get back into physical products, because I wanted to be on people's shelves. I wanted them to have also something physical that can remind them about the brand as well. And that was missing for a long time with our company. We started that with Vitaman, but I've got a new product coming out that we're working on. It's going to be a line of fragrances. And I know, Chad, do you wear fragrance on a normal basis? Do you wear any like colognes?
During COVID, that has kind of stopped, but I am a huge fan of fragrances. It was actually through doing the Clean My Space stuff and learning about scent and the psychological effects of scent. And I, leading up to our talk today, did some research. So I'm quite versed on your new fragrance line. Certainly want to kind of dig into that.
What do you wear, Chad, when you wear a fragrance?
I think it's Le Comme de Garçon. I believe it comes in a little brown bottle, and my wife bought it for me, and she likes it.
Well,
So
you know,
that's
I got the Sauvage like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, and that's like all I wear is that. I love it, really. I think it's
Is it the one in the circular bottle? Are you talking like the one, the Johnny Depp Sauvage, or are
the
you
Johnny
talking the
Depp one.
old? Okay, good. Well, there's an
whoa,
older one.
See, I
Steve.
didn't know there
Yeah,
were others.
yeah. There's three
It's
versions
because
of that Sauvage. Yeah.
people tell me I look exactly like Johnny Depp
You
all
might
the
as well
time.
smell like Johnny Depp too,
Well,
right?
the note there is ambroxan, and that really was the first fragrance. That's why it shot off like so. Ambroxan is it's one of those notes that's it's hard to describe. Like if you haven't smelt it, but when you smell it, it's just like wow, it has a presence to it. And it's definitely, I know Steve, people have been saying you look younger than you did 10 years ago. Could be that fragrance, man. It's a younger, stronger fragrance. And a lot of guys love it. But within Sauvage, and if you enjoy that one, you probably have the EDT, which is basically it's a
Eau de
strong, but
toilette.
it's yeah. But if
See?
you want to go beyond the toilet, I would maybe check out the EDP, the parfum,
Okay.
or maybe a straight up parfum. They're going to be a little bit smoother, very similar, but there are differences. And if you wear the, Sauvage all the time, you're going to be able to smell, okay, it smells a little bit softer, creamier. And there is a classic Sauvage, this one by Dior, and this one goes back to I think the 60s. And there's two of them that I've got. But those are much more lemony. And Chad, as you know, knowing about fragrances and how it applies to your life, like citrus is one that's a clean smelling fragrance. Whenever somebody walks in a room and they smell citrus, they smell cleanliness. And so with my fragrance line, one thing I didn't like is all this stuff is about sex appeal. And I'm no prude. I love sex, love the ladies. Right now, I'm, obviously with one that I'm married to. But point being is, I don't think that everything needs to be about that. There's a lot more to life. And so many of us want to be, more honorable. We want to be more courageous. We want to be more committed to our goals. And I got into this whole science and psychology of scent years ago because we were just doing research, and it kept popping up. All this research, all these studies, and I collected them. And once I started getting past like 25, 30 studies on how fragrance can make you more alert, how certain notes can keep you more focused, how other things can actually incite in your mind, confidence. All of a sudden, I'm like, well, why aren't there fragrances that are leveraging the psychology of scent so that a man can be more committed? Let's say you want to lose 35 pounds this year or next year, it's your New Year's resolution. Well, part of habits are smells. Because if you wake up in the morning, you smell coffee, what do you think? Wakes people up. They're used to that coffee smell. So if you've got a fragrance that helps to wake you up and kind of you condition yourself to actually want to go run, want to go work out, that's a great thing. It's just going to be one additional step to help you kind of level up your game. If you can smell a fragrance that gives you courage, especially on those days that you need it, you got to give a presentation to your boss's boss, and you've conditioned yourself to wear this fragrance, you feel good, then you're going to wear it. Like Sauvage, that smells good on you, but maybe you don't know the notes. And if you can learn that stuff, all of a sudden you're going to be able to have more confidence when you wear it.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point of what I get out of your channel. And when you mentioned that people tell me, "Oh, I look so much younger now than I did 10 years ago," and it's true, and there's simple reasons why that happens. Is because I put a lot of effort into myself, and it was only for myself, really, and it amounted to, I lost 40 pounds. I started working out more. I started eating right, and all of these things, including, just smelling good and using a skincare routine, and all of this stuff is really important to me now that it wasn't 10 years ago. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I've kind of evolved this way. And yeah, a lot of that was due to your sage advice over on A Real Man.
I think you hit it right. It's like, it's not about doing it for your wife, doing it for your girlfriend, doing it because you care what others think. I mean, that's the mindset. I mean, I get it if you're 16 years old, if you're 26 years old, but I think as a man matures, like he starts to realize, hey, like this is my life. Like, and I gotta live it for me. Like, I don't know about, being married now for a while. One thing I've noted is it's not that I'm callous sometimes, but it's just like, well, I understand, hon, you've got your opinion there, but I'm going to do what I want to do. And it's just like, I'm an adult here. Like, so I have to say my wife, I've been really getting into competitive shooting and the gun range, and I go weekly now. And it's nothing like, my wife's just not really much into shooting. That being said, it feels great. It relieves stress. My son loves to go with me, and I enjoy just narrowing, my target, what I'm hitting on that target, and getting those groups smaller and smaller. And it's a self-pride thing to be able to control my body, to be able to control my mindset, and to also be able to tune out everything else going on in the world, and just me putting lead downrange. And I just enjoy it. I do it for myself.
That's awesome.
I think that's advice that we could all live by, is just do the things that make you feel good, and that will have ramifications throughout the rest of your life. You just will feel more confident if you start taking care of yourself.
So why does it take so many years to do? Why couldn't I do it when I was like 22 years old? That's
Exactly.
when I needed it. That's when I
Yeah.
was young and very interested in the ladies and looking right and whatnot, but I just had zero confidence. It took
So,
me
yeah.
till about 5 or 10 years ago, further to what you were saying, Antonio, where it's like the confidence to also be in a relationship with someone and be brave enough and confident enough to know what you want, and know that you can exist within a relationship and have relationships with other people, but like still kind of um, um, drive yourself forward and follow through on what you want to do versus kind of what feels right. And while I was saying that, I remembered it wasn't Comme des Garçons, it was Jean-Paul Gaultier, I believe it is, and it
Yep.
comes in a little
JPG.
bottle, which is a
Yep.
men's
Torso.
torso, if you will.
Yep.
And I literally, it was something that I fell in love with like 20 years ago when
It's
I
a good
smelled it. I'm like,
fragrance.
it
Yeah.
has such a
Ramal. Yeah.
nice soft scent. It's kind of feminine, kind of masculine. It balances a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, this is
So
just
I would
delightful.
highly recommend you check out some of his others. Like, if you enjoy a designer fragrance like that, it's a great one. And, Ultramall is going to be a little bit stronger, sweeter, and he makes a whole line of them. So there's tons. I've probably got like 4 of his fragrances. It's classic, and it's definitely sweeter, but maybe you want to go something a little bit lighter, something for summer, like Acquadigio, another great classic, which, yes, a lot of other men own, but it's going to be a crowd pleaser, and it's perfect for, the 30 days out of the year that it's warm there in Canada.
It's 20. We're down to 25 days,
Oh,
actually,
25 days
unfortunately.
It
now.
just
Yeah.
snowed yesterday, right?
It literally just snowed yesterday, so I can't even make a joke about it.
Yeah.
What is so you have so many different businesses. What do you prefer, the actual business of physical products as opposed to, online digital products? And what kind of advice would you have for somebody listening to this who's thinking, I wish I could start just one business? Antonio's got 40.
Yeah, I don't really have a preference for physical. I would say it was very clear maybe a year ago, information products and anything, because I don't, but physical products have their place and they have a lot of benefit, especially when it's hands off. My first experience with physical products was a nightmare of shipping everything myself from my house. And I remember one time I got upset with my wife because she packaged something up, and underneath the tape, I could see one of her hairs. She has long, beautiful hair, and it got underneath there. And I'm like, and here I am getting upset with my wife over her long, beautiful hair because it's in what I see is not perfect packaging. And I immediately begin to wonder, is this happened inside of the packaging versus, so the fact that I can hand off that physical product now with better drop shipping and all those systems, and I maintain a better relationship with my wife, and that's makes it much easier. But I would say information products are amazing because of the margin. You don't have to sell a
Yeah.
whole lot of them, and you can make a lot of money on a $300 information product sale. You pocket $290, at the end of the day with your expenses, and you can't do that with physical products. There's also customs issues. If you're shipping physical products and somebody buys something over in Russia, it's first up, do you want to ship it to Russia? Because there's a lot of postal issues over there, a lot of, parts of the world in which there is fraud. Then you've got the time, and is the customer going to be happy? What about returns? Versus info products were so easy. But I would say the best business to be in is the one that is profitable for you and you enjoy. Both of those. You can't just enjoy it and not have any profit, because eventually all the enjoyment is going to disappear when you've got to pay rent and you don't have that money. And it's not just about profit, because eventually you're going to be making plenty of money, but you're going to have sold your soul, and you're going to wonder, why in the world am I doing this? And you're going to, money doesn't make you happy. I mean, it can solve a lot of money problems, but it still doesn't solve all the other personal problems you have in your life.
I wanted to segue really quickly because you mentioned Russia. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I noticed when I was preparing to speak with you was you have a Russian YouTube channel. And you've had this
No,
for...
it is Russian.
My
My wife's Ukrainian, so we always
So this is a space that we've been at Clean My Space wanting to get in for a very long time. Literally last week, we released a Spanish channel. So now you can watch Clean My Space.
Let me know. I'll put you in touch with my guy. He's amazing over there. And he's looking for channels.
See, he's got a guy.
See how this happens?
He's got a guy.
I got
He's
my guy.
Got a guy.
And he's amazing because Eric does everything and just splits revenue. So it's like, hey, you maintain control of the channel. He gets 50%, because it's like, well, there's a setup fee, but it's not much. And what I love about this is, so I was in Kiev maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at the airport, and it was crazy getting recognized then not even being able to speak English, but then using our information. And I think there's a hunger over, in certain parts of the world, because the United States, is viewed as, at least, not that we're a style icon or a style capital, but we at least, hey, for people that want to do business here, they do want to understand the culture and the people they're going to be engaging with. So that's where, we found it. Yeah, it's worked out. And
so it's fascinating because you were very, very early on this. Like, this is something which a lot of channels are starting to explore now, because there's more companies in the space that are making it, like you say, easier just for all of the work to be done by the company. And then you just do a rev share split and whatnot. However, you were A, doing this years ago, and B, like, I'm just curious what led up to, like, are you an analytic person? Do you go through and deep dive on your YouTube analytics to figure out? So much. You use a lot of the features on YouTube. You use the community tab more than anybody I've seen. You literally almost use it every day, which is astounding. And just things like chapters, and you're very plugged into whatever is working and is best practice. And I've got good people. I've got some good people. I wouldn't say, I've got people that, fortunately, I've worked with over the years, and I take care of them and they take care of me. And I do, some people, I'm not saying that you can get people cheap, but I am saying that you can find people that will grow with your company. And if you invest in the right people, again, you got to make sure you're aligned on your goals and make sure that it's a good fit, that you can afford them. But if you're willing to work and train somebody up for a year and pay them well, but treat them with respect, it's amazing how much somebody can grow. I've got a couple people that work on my YouTube channel, and they're always looking for things that are up and coming. That being said, it was somebody that was not directly tied to our YouTube channel that said, hey, have you seen these YouTube shorts? And so we're starting to do YouTube shorts, which you guys are probably aware in the last couple of months, has really been big, but it's kind of hard sometimes to make time for it, but we've got probably 20 short videos we filmed that a lot of them we haven't released. We've got a whole channel that we're looking to launch that's going to be actually focused in on shorts, similar to what Mr. Beast is doing. And again, this wouldn't have been brought up, but I had one of my tech guys notice this, and he brought it up, and then it was talked about, and then it was pushed. But it is tough. I'm not going to say that it's easy staying up on that stuff. And there were things that we purposely choose to ignore. I just had an offer to get over on TikTok again, and I've resisted TikTok. I've known TikTok since it was.
You have to learn how to dance over there. On
so back in the day, it was Musical.ly. And I remember my daughter and her friends over in Ukraine, like 3 years ago, being on Musical.ly, and I could see where this was going. It was amazing, like how you want to see the future. Look at what young people are doing. And I'm talking people that are 14, 12, 10, 16. And you see that, and you see that they're getting onto this thing. But for me, as the business side, it may be fun to be making those kind of videos, but what's the monetization potential?
Right. Don't you think that we have to consider that, because there's so many new platforms that are always coming around. And I know even in the woodworking space, the guys will just jump on these. And I look at them and I think, wow, do I really want to devote my time to something like this? Is it going to really be a return on my investment of time is really
Yeah.
what it comes down to. But you
And
you focus on everything that's beneficial. I mean, when you post, I see you post a video and then almost immediately you've got the community post going, you've got an Instagram post, you've got the Instagram stories happening. I assume probably Facebook and
systems will set you free.
so
So
what do you think is at this point is your role, as far as kind of all the logistical stuff? Are you just mostly on camera and then you have everybody else to just deal with the social
yes.
media and everything?
I don't watch my own videos, which I mean, I film that video and I know what's in it, but I do trust my people, my video editors, to get the job done and to get up. And we've got also people that review the videos and make sure. I mean, we've got a team of about 9 people. And so it's not like a huge team here, but it is something that everyone is filling multiple roles. And you've got couple of people that all they do is edit videos. You've got someone, I've also got someone that they're full, it's all about thumbnails. You know, we understand thumbnail game is important and we try to keep it focused, but it is, you know, I talk about the priority matrix. You guys are probably familiar. And we try to go through, it's like a shower that you have to do like at least once a month. You have to make sure that you're focused in on the right thing, you know, what's urgent and important. And then there's lots of things that are important, but they're not urgent, but you can't lose track of them. And then you have to purposely choose like what we are not going to spend time on. We just made a decision today that we're not going to publish a gift guide, even though everyone and their brother's putting out a gift guide. It seems, well, it's the holidays, should put out a gift guide. Yeah. It's like, well, gift guides historically have not gotten a lot of traction. You're right. Everyone and their brother has a gift guide out there. And it's just, I mean, it would be nice if I had unlimited time, but we're strapped for time and I want to be able to give some people a time off during the holidays here. So we'd rather get ahead on content than do a gift guide that when it comes down to it, the ROI is not going to be high enough.
So I don't know if you noticed or not, but I dressed up nicely for today.
You did dress up nicely.
Because I couldn't have you on. And I actually had a couple of random style questions for you.
Sure. Let's hit it.
Do you mind?
Let's do it.
All right. What is your take on white pants after Labor Day?
Well, it's an arbitrary rule that was put in place by old money to be able to identify new money. And if the weather is nice, go for it.
Nice. Thank you. So many people are just so wrapped up in that rule. That's really good to know.
Yeah. Well, that's where I like understanding history and the logic behind things, because I don't like just style rules for style rules. I just talked about this in a video that there's an imaginary Illuminati out there that comes up with these things. And it's just like, come on, let's be practical here.
How long should a tie be?
I like it where it goes right to the center of the belt buckle, give or take about 3/4 of an inch up or down, depending on the size of the man. That being said, I would rather a tie be slightly too long than too short.
Too short just kind of looks a little clownish, doesn't it?
It does, especially on a really tall guy. It just looks like, you know, that your clothing is too, you know, the only time I'd say too short is if you are a very short man. That's when, and that's where understanding and dressing for your body type, because usually the issue the short man deals with is all of his clothing is built too big. So if anything, he wants it to fit just a little bit closer.
Okay. Watch face size. I know that we're going through a period, or we have come from a period where it's like the larger and more blingy a watch. Is there what do you think about? I know that you wear just like a very nice classic average Rolex face. You don't have the tacks or the dials or whatnot. What are your thoughts on watches overtaking an entire outfit?
Depends on the size of your wrist. My wrist is about 6.5 inches, so I have a relatively small wrist for a man. So I choose the Rolex Explorer. This has a 39 millimeter diameter basically, you know, case on it. But if you've got larger wrists, you know, 7.5 inches, 8 inches, then you can definitely go for a larger watch, something like a 45. That being said, don't be afraid if you've got smaller wrists or larger wrists to try something that, you know, on paper shouldn't work. I've got a G-Shock that is a 52 centimeter diameter, and, or, you know, and that one is absolutely beautiful. It fits and it works really well on my arm. So find, you know, what you like, and you can always break the rule. But I do like to, if you've got smaller wrists, go with smaller watches. If you have larger wrists, go with a more proportioned watch.
Antonio, what do you think? How do you think COVID has affected people's interest in style this year? Because it seems like, I think about every time I have some new clothes and I think, but I don't have anywhere to wear them to.
Yeah.
And so do you?
Well, I can tell you, I mean, straight by my numbers, it was down, the first 5 to 6 months. But
Everybody's wearing their pajamas all day
and
long.
people, they're focused in on other things. Baking, we've got friends in the baking industry that shot up. People's focus on, toilet paper, masks, ammunition for their guns, that stuff all shot up. That interest in what people are looking for. There were certain things that did really well. How to cut your own hair. I'll tell you, clippers were sold out, and all the videos that I had on cutting your own hair have done really well. So certain things did well, but yeah, when it comes to dressing for others, which most people, that's why they do dress, a lot of that stuff did go down. We did try to put out some content more about dressing for yourself and at home, but that's kind of selling vitamins. It's good for people. And I do think that if you want to be more productive at home, dress up, and you're going to actually just feel more productive. You're going to act more productive. But that's a big behavioral shift for a lot of people. And
it's hard
with
a lot of people working from home this year. And, I've worked from home since like 1997 and, I'm very used to it. But when people who start working from home, a lot of people get into that kind of funk where they don't really feel right working from home. And my advice is always at least put on shoes. I think you shouldn't do work at home barefoot.
Yeah. And people just are concerned. There's some bigger issues out there. I mean, as much as I love style, I've always realized it isn't like the center point. It's like right now you've got so many people that they're like, what do I do with my kid? I've got a 4-year-old. I've got a 7-year-old. I've got, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old, and screaming for my attention. And I'm trying to work here. And we homeschool our kids. And this is something we were doing way before all this started. So we were in a better position, but I know so many people have been thrown into this, and they're just trying to get through the day.
Right. Yeah. I homeschooled my son too. It was a really good experience.
So you do a million things. You've written books, you have your email lists, you have 100 businesses. What do you do for like, how do you unplug? How do you step away from all of that? Like, how are you that intensely, dedicated to all of your businesses, but still find time for Antonio?
I don't. I mean, I wish I would say, besides the range is probably the most recent thing that I've been doing for myself, but I'm doing it with my kids. Antonio is, I'd have to say, suffering right now, but I can live with that because I'm spending a good amount of time with my family. We have meals together. My kids find it strange whenever I'm not around. And I take that as a win. Just last night, my daughters were laughing because they're like, Mom misses every time somebody jumps off the diving board for the first time. Last night, my daughter, Katya, 6 years old, she's one of the later ones, but she finally jumped off that diving board in the pool last night. And I'm there with her. So, when you're in the pool, well, at least most people aren't bringing their phones in there. And so you unplug, you're just out there, just, being a dad, being, somebody, being a guy, hanging out. And that's, thank goodness my kids still keep me on. I do try to go for a jog here or there. But I feel like the last year I have neglected myself a bit.
I think
when it goes to the gym.
This is a common refrain we've been hearing, Chad. Everybody we've had on this show has had a similar story. And I think that we need a guy. We need to call a guy. We should ask Antonio if we have a guy to help with this work life balance, because it seems to be
well, we're in a hustle culture right now. We're in a place where it's like, if you want to succeed, you need to turn it on 24/7. And if you turn it off for 1 second, someone else is going to fly past you and get all of those successes. And that wears on people, especially during like this interesting year where a lot of those things have been kind of thrown into a blender and tossed around. It's certainly a strange time. And this time was the thing that, because for a period like 3 months we didn't film because it didn't feel right. It was very strange, and we were one of the channels that you were talking about earlier, which thrived during this time. Everybody was at home, so everybody wanted to learn how to literally disinfect their kitchen or learn how to like wash their groceries, whatever it was. But that also came at a time that we were dealing with just us going through this. So it was strange to be put into a position where it's like, all right, now people are needing us to kind of have input and to be there for them. But this is really, really challenging for us. So we decided just to kind of like, okay, we're going to stop and we're going to do nothing but just kind of like do the family stuff and do what we need to do during this time. And that gave me perspective about how much I worked, because I sat around a lot. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then I would start thinking about stuff again. And then before I know it, I'd be back on my phone again, writing down title ideas for upcoming videos. And it's like, wow, it's so easy. It goes without. Part of my identity is what my business is, or what my, what my job is. And that,
Antonio, do you ever find that's the case? If you got some free time and you're sitting around, I'm just going to relax, but your mind is still racing about things that you need to get done for business.
And you end up starting a new business.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. I was just reading about Winston Churchill and how, it was the 10 years that he was kind of like out in the desert. I mean, if you look at any type of religious leader, you look at any type of these people that have had huge impact on history and been able to achieve monumental things. Oftentimes it was, they did have that time, and they were able to step away and they developed these things in their life. I didn't realize that Winston Churchill was apparently an amazing bricklayer, and he would be able to lay 90 bricks in the period of an hour. And he built all of these, like he was building a cottage and building houses. And it was just something. And so that's what has kind of inspired me to be able to find things, to be able to step away and not get caught in this. I mean, I'm like anyone else, though. I'm still getting caught into this way too much. But that being said, I've been talking with a number of other influencers about doing a hunting trip. Not that we want to really, we just simply want to get out and go out into the woods, go out into, maybe out to Montana or something, go visit Pete over at DIY Pete, and he's got some contacts there that can get us a guide, and we'll all just go out and disappear, for like a week, maybe 10 days, and come back refreshed, but literally get out of. I did a trip a while back down the Rogue River in Oregon, and that was an amazing trip because there was no cell reception during the entire 4 or 5 days you're on this river. And those are the kind of things I get excited about. And yes, here I am looking to start another business like that. But I've got this idea for entrepreneurs to come to to these cabins that would be on the lake here in Wisconsin with bad cell reception. And it's just simply being there with your family. So you spend maybe 4 hours on your business in the morning in a group session with other entrepreneurs, but then all afternoon, it's just you at the lake with your wife, with your kids. And during the morning, they're occupied. They've taken classes. She's getting a massage. The kids are out practicing archery. But yeah, kind of, I've even thought about gamifying it, where you take your phone and you have to put it into a place that keeps score. And the longer you can leave your phone in there and your stuff, the higher your score goes. And so, of course you can grab your phone at any point, but if you do that, your kids are going to be upset because it's like, Dad, you messed up our score. Look,
I love the fact that you're always thinking, and it's a curse also, is that you all of a sudden develop an interest in something. I developed a new hobby. I'm going to start whittling or something. And then you think,
I'm going to make money from it. Or I'm going to
now I need to make a whittling YouTube channel.
Right.
Now
exactly.
To get an Etsy store and sell my whittlings.
It's so true. It's the entrepreneurial mindset. You're always on. You work you're always working.
Yeah. Part of it's ego. I think part of it's also, how much is enough? And that's, I think it was Tiger Woods and his dad used to have that code word. It was enough. He could always say, and his dad would do these things trying to throw him off his game. He never did say it. And it kind of reflects in Tiger's probably life of, I mean, the guys, had so much, but you still, it's never enough. I guess, greatest showman thing. But I guess, I've tried to, that's a question I wrestle with myself. How much is enough? How much is going to, be in that position where you can step back? But would I be happy stepping back? That's,
and don't you feel that
I'm
sort
wrestling
of,
with.
and you gotta, do you feel that money is sort of the real measure of that in a lot of ways, even though you think, well, it's enough, or how much is enough, but still that is one way of measuring how you're doing.
Yeah, it's a very countable measure
Yeah.
of how we're doing, especially as men. Whatever the world may say, try to be PC. When it comes down to it, a man is oftentimes measured by what he provides. And I view myself like I feel good when I can provide something and contribute to others. Like I've got, our local grocery store, we're able to, because we're doing well enough, there's like tons of, so right outside of my house, every Wednesday, there's a food drive. It's actually a ways down the block. The food pantry moved into an area down at the end of our street. But I get to see the cars lined up of people waiting for food every single week. And because it goes past my house now. It used to be like not even close to my house. Now it goes like 5 to 7 houses past mine in this direction. And I think it's just, because once you can provide for yourself, then you realize, well, I've got these great talents. I can make money. I can actually start helping others and providing others. And I guess that is maybe something that does like make me feel good about that, is that, that, hey, like we're in a position that we can provide gift certificates and get these elderly, these people that are, the people in their 80s, sitting out, they have no family and they really don't have any income. And we're able to, provide for our local community. So, in a roundabout way, maybe, for some of us that drive, it can seem like it's insatiable, but if we're, if it is, I guess maybe we can leverage it for the good of something, of being able to make a difference, especially I think locally in our community, with the people, around us, that, yeah, we're all kind of, and who knows how it's going to come back to us. So.
Well, Antonio, this has been a blast having you on our show. I'm really glad you could join us. Your studio that you're sitting in, for those of you who are listening to the audio podcast, it's got an amazing, Antonio has an amazing studio here. It's like,
if
it
you're
looks
into
like a
clothes,
boutique.
it's amazing. I mean,
can we have you back on the podcast so we can do like a studio tour? Because I wanted to ask about those lights, and I see a camera standing back there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of questions
right over there. Yeah, we got whole lot of stuff over there. That's where all the some of the magic happens. I've got, probably like some of you guys, I've got multiple areas, but I do like a controlled studio where control the lighting and the sound, all that
How
stuff.
How many videos do you shoot? How many videos do you shoot at one time?
I used to shoot a lot at one time. Now, two will be fine, if I can get two, but it used to be a lot more. But I pulled back because I think, and this is again, as the creator's curse, is you always try to improve upon what you've done. So I find that we're spending a lot more time trying to research and, come up with different, I'm trying to script things out a little bit better. So, always upping that up. Unfortunately, it does take, we do spend more time than I would like sometimes filming.
Anyways, we really appreciate you being on the show. And for everybody listening to the show, if you are listening on iTunes/Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review over there. We'd love to read that. And we'll read that on the show too, when probably sometime when we don't have an interview for the entire episode. But this has been a blast, again, talking to you, Antonio. And be sure to check out his website. You want to check out your website over at realmenrealstyle.com. And of course, his YouTube channel, and just about everywhere except TikTok.
Except TikTok. You're not going to find me there.
We're not going to see you flossing.
Not anytime soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.